Hey everybody. Just do a quick audio check and then we'll kick this off. So if you can hear me and if the screen looks good, just give us a thumbs up in the chat and then we will kick this off. Thanks. Alright, it looks like we're good to go. So good evening everybody and welcome back to Walks and Wall Street. Today is November 21st, 2023. It's roughly 9:23 p.m. here in New York City. And tonight it is a wet one, it is a windy one, it is a horrible, nasty one. But I think these are the kind of streams that I'm most excited about, right? I think it's important we implement a sales technique called reframing, right? It's important that we reframe our brains, particularly around events that are not pleasant, like walking around in 40-mile-an-hour wind and rain. But this is, I'm actually looking forward to this, and I actually hope that we have more of these streams going forward. So I'll say that. We're going to talk about Nvidia tonight. An amazing report. Very satisfied with it. Now, the stock is pretty much unchanged. I think we closed just a hair under $500 today for Nvidia, and the stock is down about $8 after hours. Pretty much no change, right? And we talked about this yesterday, looking at the semiconductor ETF, the main semiconductor ETF, which is ticker symbol SOXX. That is the BlackRock iShares semiconductor ETF. And we've hit an intermediate term low pretty much at the last day of October 30th, and we've rallied from about 433 to 517. That's a pretty big move. So we've been rallying into this report. Nvidia is the last major company, I would say, in the Magnificent Seven that is not reported. So today marks, in my opinion, the conclusion of earnings season, because all of the companies that are the most highly anticipated have now shown their quarterly results, right? And we've been doing a deep dive into every single one of them on the stream each night. We've talked about Apple, we've talked about Microsoft, Amazon, Google, which is Alphabet, and many, many others, right? And now, tonight, it's time to talk about Nvidia. Beat and raise quarter. Beat and raise, beat and raise, beat and raise is the theme. Mark it down in your journal here. That is the theme for tonight. Now, oftentimes when we do these, I would say mini micro lessons, right? When we're thinking about generating trade ideas, understanding what companies are good to buy, what companies are good to own, there's been studies done that if you can own and hold a stock for 6 consecutive beat and raise quarters, that stock on average goes up more than 200%, right? Now, it depends on which stage that company is in, right? If you're on like the 5th beat and raise, probably a lot of the move is, burnt into the stock already. But the point is this. The two things that make a stock go up in general, right, is liquidity and earnings. Okay, liquidity and earnings. And Nvidia is your liquid leader of the market, meaning it has a massive market cap. It's very liquid. Institutions can easily build positions and work in and out. But it's also an earnings monster. So today, Nvidia reported $4.02 worth of EPS, crushing analyst expectations of $3.37. Also, blowing it out of the water on the top line as well, coming in at $18.12 billion in top line revenue growth. Wall Street analysts were expecting $16.18 billion. Totally ripped its face off there. Now, revenue growth 206% year over year. That's pretty substantial. That's I mean, it's almost, I can't even, I have to repeat that actually. Revenue grew 206% year over year. Wild. Now, what does that tell us about the demand for cloud computing? What does that tell us about the demand for Bitcoin? What does that tell us about the demand for generative AI machine learning, right? One of the things we talk about a lot in the live stream is not only from an investment standpoint, but from a career standpoint, you generally want to be operating in something that has a massive and growing total addressable market. And Nvidia, right, sells chips to some of the biggest cloud computing companies in the world. Microsoft with their Azure cloud, Amazon with their AWS. This new trend of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies with the miners, gaming, augmented reality, virtual reality, AI, right? So, I mean, that is sort of showing you where the world is going. Net income, so let's talk about profitability for a moment. $9.24 billion. Nvidia made just in the last quarter. $9.24 billion. If we do a little bit of comparative analysis on a year-over-year basis, this quarter last year, Nvidia made $680 million. So $680 million to $9.24 billion. Insane. We'll get a little bit more granular as the stream progresses. We're going to talk about each individual category, from data center, to gaming. What is Jensen seeing the vast majority of the demand for, right? Is it in gaming? Is it in data center? Is it in AI? We'll talk about that tonight. But first, I want to turn everybody's attention to the S&P 500 here for a moment. So if you have your Bloomberg terminal up, MarketSmith, or TradingView, go ahead and pull up a daily chart of the S&P 500, ticker symbol SPX, okay? Now, we closed mid-range of the day. The market was down about 9 points. S&P closed at 4,538. Now, we have two significant gaps here on the indice. On the S&P from 4,419 to 4,458, there's a pretty big gap there. And usually gaps always get filled. Well, I shouldn't say all the time. Usually in the futures market. Let's see if there's a gap on the E-minis. All right, so there's not a gap in the futures market, but there's a gap in the cash. And I think that'll probably get filled, which, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, right? I mean, the market has gone up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, give or take 2 days, over 10 trading days in a row. This market has been on a rocket ride here. To give a little bit of context for the measurement of that move, we have to go back to October 27th. So from October 27th, about 4,100 on the S&P, we've pretty much rallied in a straight line, up 11% or about 450 points on the S&P 500. Kind of wild. Let's look at the VIX. We haven't checked in on the CBOE volatility index lately. The VIX is crashing down at 13. Now, if you sort of look at where the VIX bottomed out previously, which was late September, the VIX sort of bottomed out at 12, and then we had a little bit of a rally in the VIX, which coincided with that correction. I would not be surprised here if the market gives some of that back. We've digested earnings season. We're going into the holiday season. Volumes on the exchanges are going to be a little bit low, so it's actually not bad if we get a little bit of a pullback here in the S&P, in the NASDAQ, and the Dow to at least just recede back to those major moving averages. We'll check in on crude oil. Crude oil is about flat, $77. Not bad. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close up the laptop. I'm going to say hello to everybody in the chat, and we will get started. Quick announcement. Obviously, Thanksgiving lands on a Thursday, right? That just coincides with the day where we send out our free financial newsletter, the Behind the Street newsletter. So we will not be sending it out on Thursday, but check your email on Friday, because Friday, right at around 6 p.m., I will be emailing everybody our free financial newsletter. If you haven't signed up yet, you could scan the QR code on your screen or type !news, N-E-W-S, in the chat, and the Nightbot will drop the link to our Substack. If you click the link, and even if you download the Substack application, you will have free access to all of our archived research with podcast audio format. So let me go ahead and close up the laptop, and we will be on our way. Thank you all for joining tonight. Alrighty, here, let me clip the microphone on. Now, I have my umbrella too. Now, we're reporting live right outside of 432 Park Avenue. This is Madison Avenue on Billionaires Row, right outside the office. But we're under this little canopy here. Okay, so this is like an outside community area where there's a nice coffee shop called Black Fox. I was about to say Black Rock Coffee. Called Black Fox Coffee, which is very good, by the way. This is one of my favorite coffee shops in the city. This is really nice. JK says, Tom, are you going to be able to walk around the city tonight? I heard it's pouring. I'm not too sure if we're going to be able to walk around the city tonight. Let's see who we have in the chat. Hey, Lynn, good to see you. I see Destructionist is here. Main Street Moments, Tom Barry, Hang with Mark Mom, good to see you. Jonathan from Palmetto Beach, Florida. Good to see everybody. Steph UF, Lance. What's up, Lance? Juan Fernandez, Mikey. Good to see you all. Matt says, hey, Tom and everybody. Thanks for joining us on this very blustery day in New York City. All right, so we are now going to make a right on Madison Avenue. Now, the wind should pick up and should get progressively worse throughout the night. But the good news is this. We'll sort of reframe this and skew it to some good news here. The good news is that on Thanksgiving Day, it should be pretty dry. So for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, if anybody wants to venture out and experience that in person, it should be dry and it shouldn't be that windy. Now remember, when it's very, very windy in New York City on Thanksgiving Day, sometimes they don't allow the floats to fly. And that would be a real big travesty. So hopefully, knock on wood, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, they will allow the floats to fly in the sky. So, hey, Jen Claus is here. What's up? We are now on Madison Avenue looking southbound. You can see the luminescent top of One Vanderbilt. But you know what? In the distance, guys, you could see 270 Park Avenue. Now, 270 Park, we talk about it all the time. It's JP Morgan Chase's brand new office tower, and we do have some very good news about that. We have some updates. They just topped it out. I think on Monday, 270 Park Avenue has officially been topped out. So which means it's almost ready for completion. According to news reports, the building will be fully completed and ready for occupancy in early 2025, but they have topped it out. Jamie Dimon, who is the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, was at a major sort of big topping out event with the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, as well as the governor of the state of New York, Kathy Hochul. And the article was pretty good that they wrote. I think this was in the Wall Street Journal. I forgot to link it in the chat, but they were explaining just the amount of economic output and the economic stimulus that JP Morgan Chase brings to the city. With all their employees, if you factor in, all of their employees coming into the office every day, buying lunch, going out to dinners, buying apartments, buying housing in the city. It's a pretty substantial, business that we need in New York City, right? So, I think that even though Jamie Dimon has been very, very outspoken against New York in his recent interviews with Bloomberg, as we stand outside of 432 Park Avenue, I think the construction of 270 Park is showing Jamie Dimon's commitment and willingness to work with local politicians in the state of New York. Because as you know, or as you may or may not know, there are now more JP Morgan Chase employees in the state of Texas than there are in New York, which is kind of wild to think about, but it's true. So hopefully as the political climates get a little bit more advantageous in New York, we'll be able to change that. Hey, Brian Feeney is here. Thank you so much for your $2 donation. Let's actually head closer towards Fifth Avenue, because it'll block out some of the rain. But thank you so much for your donation. Appreciate it. Hey, Abdul is here. Good to see you. I think I may need to be wiping the camera a lot today, or tonight. Let's see. All right, I think we'll be good. Let's head towards Fifth Avenue. Hey, Andrew's here. What's up? Eric Tate, Hawaii. Welcome. Teresa Diaz, good to see you. Now, we'll quickly just talk about Nvidia for a moment. So for those of you who are just joining, Nvidia is the last company in the Magnificent Seven to report their financial results. And we got that today after the bell. Now, I'm going to do an additional deep dive. I'm going to re-listen to the earnings call, but I mean, the report was a complete lights out, blew the doors off the place report. Beating on both the top and the bottom line, beating on EPS, beating on revenue, and they've actually raised forward guidance. So we'll quickly review what that means, right? When a company beats expectations, it's called a beat and raise. Essentially, for example, if Wall Street analysts are expecting, $2 worth of EPS and $1 billion on top line revenue, and the company reports $5 worth of EPS and $1.5 billion in revenue, that would mean they would beat on both the top and the bottom line. Now, where the raise comes in is the following. They actually did a really nice job here with the Christmas lights. Now, where the raise comes in is if management says, you know what, we had a really strong quarter, and as we've been talking with our customers and sort of, planning for the next quarter, the next fiscal year, we are actually going to take our guidance on revenue and on the top line in earnings, and we're going to increase that a little bit due to demand being so strong for our products and services, and due to the health of our customers and our customer success. And that's pretty much what happened today. Not a lot of movement in the stock, but I think that if you look at the market, particularly going over the last 2 weeks, leading up into this earnings report, and not just Nvidia stock, but the entire semiconductor sector, right? If you look at the iShares BlackRock ETF, SOXX, as we're looking at Steinway Tower, it's rallied all the way into Nvidia's earnings report. So there wasn't a lot of volatility after hours. I think the stock is down $8, but Nvidia closed today just under 500. Now 500 is a big round number for the stock. I think we'll probably digest here, but that was a great report, great quarter. But what that tells me more specifically is that the vast majority of business growth, revenue growth, and I would say business prosperity is really going to be driven by software-related businesses still, right? Cloud computing, AI, and the like. If you go line item by line item and look at data center capacity, or I would say data center spending, one of their biggest customer, or I'd say one of their biggest customers for spend, are all of the major cloud computing companies, right? Like Amazon, AWS, and the like. So cloud computing is only going to grow. Nanda is here. What's going on? Hey, Traveling Doe, or Traveling D, what's up? TK Porsche's guidance was conservative, Tom, reflecting, let me scroll back, reflecting expected loss in China sales in next quarter. Q4 guidance for revenue and profits was plus 11%, much less than recent growth. I feel they sandbagged the guidance. Potentially, I mean, everybody's worried about the China thing, but I mean, I try to put it in perspective, and maybe it's just because I'm, an eternal optimist, I guess. A lot of people, accuse me of being that, but it looks like they're putting up the Christmas lights inside Trump Tower. But I mean, think about the quarter that they just produced, right, on a year-over-year basis. It's really unbelievable. And this is all in the face of a much, much tighter and a much, much more, I would say, less accommodative monetary environment than last year. Now, I want to make a little bit of a comparison as we're standing outside of Tiffany. I'll give you guys a good shot of Bergdorf Goodman, but this reminds me of Palo Alto Network's earnings report from last week. And the CEO of Palo Alto came on the call and said, look, the demand for our cybersecurity products or cybersecurity software has never been higher. Companies are actually figuring out ways to spend more with us, but the problem is this. The problem is that money is so expensive that our customers are having problems, coming up with the money and borrowing the money, right, an affordable rate to buy our products and services. It didn't seem like Nvidia had that problem at all. They cited, and this is just an anecdotal citation, but in the report they cited how a very prominent Bitcoin miner is spending $40,000 per chip to operate their business, right, in this environment. So the reason why I think that is because if you think about who Nvidia's customers are, right, in data center, in AI, machine learning, even in cryptocurrency mining, and in gaming too, I'm not going to say they're more shielded and protected from a more tight monetary policy, but I would say they're less affected than, let's say, like a manufacturing plant, right, or a big retailer. A lot of these big tech companies and these businesses have tons of cash laying around, and if you can produce revenues that are up 206%, I mean, Nvidia grew their revenue 206% year over year. That's insane. Through this very, very tough monetary environment. So I think in the perspective of higher rates, I think if we were in a lower interest rate environment, it's possible they could have grew their revenues by 250%. So I definitely understand, I definitely get your point, right? Everybody's concerned about China, and growth obviously can't be 200% a year forever. And I get that, and that's probably already baked into the stock. But I think based upon the environment we're operating in, right, which is a rather tough environment for businesses, I was extremely surprised by the quarter, actually. Hey, Brad's Brain, what's up? Good to see you. Says Palantir had a nice run up over the 21 yesterday, but fell back below the 20 today. Yeah, Palantir, really started out as one of those kind of meme stocks, right? But, I tweeted about this, or I don't even know how you would call that now, since the company's called X. I posted about it on Twitter, X, and I'm watching the stock. I don't own the stock, but the reason why I'm watching Palantir is because it seems to be building out a classic IPO style base. And I've recommended this book multiple times, so not to sound like I'm just shilling the book to all of you guys. Oh, this is cool. Hold on, let me get a shot of this. That actually looks really nice in the rain, doesn't it? But the book is called Life Cycle Trade. The author is Eve Bobach and Kathy Donnelly. And essentially what they've done is they've done a conclusive and comprehensive study of all IPOs, initial public offerings, and SPACs, I'll include that, Going back over 40 years. They've studied exactly how these stocks act and operate both 1 year, 2 years, and 5 years post-IPO. And they've studied the characteristics of the companies who performed best post-IPO. And usually what happens is when a company goes public, there's a 90% of the time, 1 year after the IPO, the stock will trade lower than the price that it went live on listing day, right? And we've explained this before. It's due to a multitude of reasons, but one of the things with Palantir, yes, the valuation was very frothy, but it also got sort of wrapped up in the whole meme stock nonsense, and people were just owning it for no reason, and a lot of those individuals were shaken out in a really big way. And the stock went down about 80%, but it's built a base. But throughout that time, right, as the stock was cratering and plummeting, Palantir was actually churning out very favorable financial results, right, which is really the only thing that matters. So if you look at what I posted on Twitter, look at the last 2 quarters in Palantir. Now, what I am a little bit concerned about is the revenue growth quarter over quarter is like in the high teens. Usually my criteria is about 25% plus revenue growth. But look at the EPS growth. It's been growing its earnings by over 300%. Now, to be fair, this isn't 300% on like $20 worth of EPS. It's 300% on like a couple cents. So I think the stock does have potential. I wouldn't own it here. Well, I'm only speaking for myself. These trees here look pretty, don't they? All these orange colors. Looks beautiful. But the reason why I'm not owning it here because it has way too much overhead. I think if earnings continue to churn out in a favorable way and they ramp up revenue growth and earnings come in good and the stock can make its way back above $20, I'll probably hit it over 20 bucks, I think. Hey, Bud Fox is here. Good to see you, Bud Fox. This is AI sector making the majority of the revenue growth. Eric Tate says, and a happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Eric, thank you so much for that. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. Brad says, I'd love to see huge buybacks in Palantir. I'm just trying to scroll through the chat. Oh, is that right? Hang with Mark, Mom? Palantir's in New York City and you can bring your dog to work. Palantir transferred headquarters to Denver, Colorado 2 years ago too. Now, Denver's been a pretty up-and-coming tech town, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, Denver, Colorado. When I think of Denver, Colorado, I think of this company called Ping Identity. P-I-N-G Identity. Now, it used to be a publicly traded company. It used to trade under the ticker symbol PING, P-I-N-G. But it was actually just taken private, I think last year. And it was taken private by Orlando Bravo. And I actually met Orlando Bravo at a conference. He's a really nice guy. Extremely sharp guy. I mean, my God. He's from Puerto Rico, and he's a very successful businessman. And he owns the private equity firm Thoma Bravo. So T-H-O-M-A and then Bravo. So his company took that private. Now, the funny thing is this. One of their competitors, Vista Equity Partners, which is also another extremely successful PE firm. Let's cross here while we have the light. Might as well. We'll go up towards the Sherry Netherland. They took it public. So Vista Equity Partners took it public. Hold on, I just want to navigate this. And then Orlando Bravo took it private. Now, there's multitude of reasons why, he would want to take that private. Because when a company goes public, it's a whole different story, right? sometimes you're just beholden to Wall Street and the numbers, unfortunately. Here's the major clock here at the Sherry Netherland. This is actually one of the originals. Now, we talk about the Sherry Netherland. I don't know what's going on there. Let me turn around. We talk about the Sherry Netherland because of Jesse Livermore. Now, a good Christmas stocking stuffer is the book called Reminiscences of a Stock Operator by Jesse Livermore. Now, he was one of the greatest, I would say, traders of all time. And he would go down to Wall Street back in the day and trade in the bucket shops. He was very successful. But then he would come back to Central Park South, where we're standing right here, come to the Sherry Netherland, walk in these doors, and have a drink in the cloakroom, or have a drink at the bar of the Sherry Netherland, right here. It's a beautiful hotel. Hey, Gary Carpenter, what's up? Good to see you. We're venturing into the Upper East Side of Manhattan now. This is East 60th Street. Wow, check out Billionaires Row with the clouds. Steinway Tower, Central Park Tower, and 220 Central Park South. Amazing. Hey, Ben Cunningham says Tom, Pittsburgh is forcing companies to bring remote workers back into the city 3 days a week by taking tax breaks away. Whoa, that adds a whole new dichotomy to the game, my friend. I have not heard about that. What? That's crazy. Now, here's the question, guys. Do we think more cities are going to start to do that? So, I mean, does government have the ability to do that? I'm actually very curious about this conversation. I want to know what you guys think. Does government have the right to tell businesses where their employees can and can't work? I don't know if that's even possible. Well, I guess it's like a quid pro quo, right? Am I thinking about that in the right way? It's sort of like a quid pro quo situation. Look at how gorgeous this building is. Well, yeah, Brian free leases tax credits, so I guess so. Yeah, now I guess if there was no sort of situation like involving tax credits, then I understand. But that's sort of like strong-arming the business. But it's tough because, we're dealing with this in New York City, and Mayor Eric Adams has stated on multiple occasions the problem that he's having, sort of managing and operating the city with an increasing number of remote work still. This is a beautiful restaurant. Because if nobody's coming to the office, that means you're going to have very, very high vacancy. And we have that here in the city of New York. We have very, very high office vacancy, particularly in Lower Manhattan. And, commercial real estate, the value of commercial real estate is based upon the income it can produce. So if none of these buildings are profitable, that means the valuations of these buildings are going to crater. And if the valuations of the buildings crater, well, guess what also craters? Anybody want to take a guess? Well, the tax revenue, right? New York City depends on very high real estate tax income from a lot of these big buildings. So I totally understand, right? And it also, to sort of think about what Ben Cunningham is saying in the chat here, if nobody's coming into the office and everybody is working remote, well, what does that mean for the small businesses like the bodegas, the mom and pop shops that may be, their revenue may be down, 30%. So I get that. Hey, Pup is here. What's up? Brad's Brains is honestly, it might be one of those more beneficial tax incentives ever given. Brian says maybe the business are in on it. They want to, maybe. That's an interesting play there. Someone says agreed. There are also issues with the structural integrity of commercial buildings. Got it. I'm going to do the best I can to read the comments, but it's just tough because I have holding an umbrella. Whoops. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We usually do these live streams every day starting at 8:30. But let's head down to 34th Street because I think right outside of Macy's they're doing the setup for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And I think they may be doing the rehearsal for it too. I mean, it's a pretty crappy day to do a rehearsal for, the Thanksgiving Day Parade. But we'll check it out. I remember last year we saw it too. We were down there checking it out. Hey, Jen Zen, what's up? Welcome to New York on a very cold and nasty day. Hey, Frank, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Well, let's cross over here and then let's head straight down Fifth Avenue to 34th Street. Hey Matt, thank you so much for your $10 donation. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Brad says, Tom, I sense you're not a fan of the tax incentive idea. I generally don't agree with tax incentives, but it's a brilliant way to keep your city viable. No, I get that. And Brad, you're probably right on this. I probably just have to think about this a little bit more, but where I have a problem, okay, so here's my problem. I'll just be very blunt. I think it's a slippery slope if the government can force your business model, right? And force what your company's policy is. Because we've had this conversation before, right? Some people don't like remote work, some people like it. I personally think it's better to be in the office, right? Particularly if you're young, you're just graduating college. I think it's better for you to be in the office, particularly if you're working in tech, if you're working in sales, or you're working in banking or consulting, where you need a lot of mentorship, right? Because it's going to be hard to build relationships if you're sitting behind a Zoom screen. But, there's other people like software engineers and things like that, that maybe they just want to get their work done, do the remote work, and they don't want to have to commute into the office every day. So I don't know. I think it should be left up to the businesses to decide on, what they do, what their company policy is. I don't think the government should be sort of forcing that by threatening to take away a tax break. I don't know. Because what's to stop them from saying something else, right? What's to stop them from saying, hey, if you don't implement all this other crazy policy, I mean, we won't get too political tonight, we're not going to give you the tax incentive or the tax break, right? I think it could be a slippery slope. I don't know. All right, look at this. We are now outside of the Louis Vuitton. Hey, Dwight R's. So if Mayor Eric Adams wants to bring workers back into the city, does he think the congestion tax will do it? Yeah, I mean, congestion tax is another thing that I don't agree with. Now, for those of you who are just joining and you don't know, congestion tax is essentially anytime you drive your car in Manhattan south of 60th Street, you're going to get banged with a fee, a toll. Now, Ubers and taxis and things like that are driving around all day, they'll only have to pay it once per day, right? So it's not like every time you go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, you're going to get hit if you're an Uber or a taxi driver, right? But everybody else, you're going to be ringing up those charges. Now, they're doing that, I believe, to incentivize people to take public transportation and deter people from driving. But in my mind, I don't think that's the right thing to do, because it's just going to be an added tax on the working poor in New York City. That's my view. Because the wealthy, right, they'll kick and scream, but they'll pay it, and it's not going to really put an impact in their pocket. But if you're a middle-class American driving into the city, 2 to 3 days a week from New Jersey or from Long Island or from Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, that's just an added cost to your life that you can't avoid, right? So I don't agree with it. Yeah, Juan Fernandez is just get a scooter. And I understand, but I'm talking about the people that have kids. They got to drop off the kids. Maybe they use their vehicle for work, right? I mean, my grandparents were janitors, and they drove around New York City cleaning buildings right at night to 3 o'clock in the morning. That's what they did. So, making nothing, making pennies. So imagine the people doing that now. They're going to have to pay this congestion thing just because they're trying to make a living. That's not fair. I mean, does that seem morally right? Not to me. Not to me. Anyway, guys, this is the St. Regis Hotel. This is one of the many 5-star luxurious hotels here in New York City. It looks absolutely beautiful. And this is the Peninsula Hotel, which is another 5-star hotel. Hey, Mighty Moles' carbon tax on gasoline in the state of Washington, 55 cents. It hurts the working class. I agree. Now, that's another thing. I saw somebody's comment about the fraudulent license plates. So this is why I always make this analogy, and I won't get too political, but it does involve the economy. So I think it's important to talk about. Anytime there's a new tax, anytime generally taxes are raised or there's a new fee or toll, it's on the backs of the middle class. Rich people, generally, they don't have to pay the tax, right? Because, corporate structures and all that. And I'm being very generalistic here, if that's a word. It's always on the middle class people that are hardworking. Because hardworking middle class people, they're not, fraudsters, they're not scammers. They are generally law-abiding citizens. But one of the things that we're going up against right now in New York City is a rampant amount of fraudulent license plates, fraudulent mopeds, fraudulent cars, and people are just driving around with these fake license plates. They're not even license plates at all. And when the, congestion pricing comes in, and if you have a fake license plate on an unregistered car or an unregistered moped, well, you're going to ride around for free while everybody else that's abiding the law subsidizes your life, right? And that's why I've always been against sort of the petty crimes of jumping the turnstiles, right? Of, shoplifting, things that are under $100, right? Many politicians say, oh, it's not that big of a deal, we shouldn't overreact. But if you don't overreact and you don't nip it in the butt, the problem is going to compound. And when it compounds, you have a whole class of people that are gypping the system, so revenues go down, and then they have to increase prices to offset the people who steal, and it just burdens the middle class even more, right? You're sort of seeing this with the MTA, right? I feel like an idiot sometimes, scanning my phone, and then there's a guy, right next to me just jumping over the turnstile. So I'm paying, even though it's, $3, whatever, I could afford it, not a big deal, but it's like you kind of feel like an idiot after you see, a group of, 20-year-old guys, everybody's jumping over the turnstile while I'm trying to fumble with my bag to get my phone out to pay. It's like, well, I'm an idiot. Why am I paying? It's ridiculous. Yeah, Andes. Yeah, broken windows theory, kind of like that. But it does impact an economy, right? I mean, to sort of revert this back to the stock market, we covered Rite Aid, which now filed for bankruptcy. Rite Aid is closing stores. Now Target, right? Ticket symbol TGT. They have decided to close stores. The first Target that ever opened in New York City was 116th Street in East Harlem. It's closing down now because it's been raided so much with theft. And it's not, the funny thing is this, it's a very select few group of organized derelicts who are stealing and raiding the Target. Everybody else in East Harlem are just normal, hardworking, everyday Americans that want to go to Target to shop, to get food for their families, to get clothes for their kids. So when you allow crime to run rampant in lower income communities, right, where people live from a lower socioeconomic status, you're hurting the poor people the most. You're hurting the poor people the most. What about the people, of East Harlem, right? That are, a household income of $70,000 trying to make it in New York City. They're great Americans, hardworking Americans. We love them. They're great New Yorkers. Now they don't have a place to shop. Right now they have to go take the train, 20 minutes to go to a Target. So that's the problem. It doesn't really affect the billionaires on Billionaires Row because they just send their chauffeur to, fire up the Maybach or the Rolls Royce and do my shopping. Right? So that's how you really create these aggressive wealth tiers. Not to sound, super hyperbolic, but, a problem compounded over time is a big problem. So a small problem compounded over time is a very, very big problem. It's the same thing with compounding interest in the stock market. If you put $10,000 in the S&P 500 when you're 20 years old and you never touch it, by the time you retire, you're going to have like $500,000 from 10 grand, right? So compounding interest works both ways. All right, everybody, this is the Cartier store. This looks absolutely beautiful. We were here yesterday. Now, there's one thing about New York City that I love, and they do a better job than any city, in my opinion, decorating for the holidays. They do an amazing, amazing job. And now we're looking southbound on 5th Avenue, looking down at the Saks and the beautiful St. Patrick's Cathedral. Now, one thing that we've been talking a lot about on the channel, everybody, is commercial real estate, particularly in New York City. And we've been writing about this a lot in our bi-weekly newsletter we send out to everybody. Last Thursday, I wrote a piece on WeWork. So as you know, WeWork filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. We sort of talked about what that means for the city. We've talked about what that means for the country. Now, what I can also say, let's cross here. But what I can also say is there's going to be a lot of opportunity in this city, particularly for people to buy distressed assets, distressed commercial real estate, because some of these buildings have massive amounts of debt on them, which are bad debt, and the vast majority of these buildings are probably going to get sold at auction. So there's good deals to be had. On Friday, because remember, this Thursday's Thanksgiving, I'm going to be taking a little bit of a different approach when we're talking about commercial real estate, and we're actually going to be identifying some potential deals. That'll be in the very bottom section of Friday's Behind the Street newsletter. So if you want to receive that for free, every other week after the market closes, I send out my free financial newsletter. So if you type !news, N-E-W-S in the chat, the Nightbot will drop the link to our free financial newsletter. And I think this Friday, I'm going to put in a section about how to identify this deal flow. So check it out if you are interested. Or you can scan the QR code on your screen and it'll take you to our Substack where you can sign up there for free as well. Let's see if we'll get the entire thing again. The big blue spire in the background is One Vanderbilt. Oh, we might as well watch it again since this is here. Get a little closer. We'll stand back a little bit so you guys can see a little bit better. feel like I'll never get tired of looking at this. This is way better than the one last year. Stunning, stunning. And pretty soon here we're gonna have the Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center all lit up. Hey, Lady Sarita's here. Elizabeth Gill, good to see you. Elizabeth, what's going on in Buffalo, New York? Yeah, Angela's like, how much is that light bill? I know. Probably like $100,000. Now, speaking of $100,000, you know what's funny? My water bill at my house, I don't know if I told you guys this story. This was a freak story that happened. This time last year, I got my water bill in Miami, and my balance due was like $170,000, I think, like 100 something. And I was like, what the heck? And my card was signed up for the auto pay, so I was panicking. I thought they were going to bang my card for $100,000. And of course, you know, I started to go on Reddit and look up $100,000 water bill. And I was just reading all these horror stories about how these people were buying houses, and unfortunately there was a leak in the main pipe somewhere, and it was leaking a bunch of water, and you know, the town caught up to it, and then they charged everybody, you know, like 2 years worth of back water. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to fight this in court. Turns out none of that happened. It was just a massive glitch. And the city that I live in Miami, scared the hell out of everybody. And yeah, that was about it. But it was just weird looking at it. Looking at a water bill for over 6 figures. Crazy. Anyway. Speaking of Florida, I will be back in Miami in December. So I'm excited to walk around Brickell, downtown Miami. Maybe we will even go to Coral Gables. We'll walk around the University of Miami. So I'm excited to bring you guys that. Hey, Chris B, what's up? Good to see you, Chris. Let's head down towards 34th Street now. All right, next stop, 34th Street, Herald Square. And could we just do a quick time check in the chat? Because I think they stopped the rehearsal at 11 p.m. So as long as we get there before 11, we'll be able to see some of the rehearsal of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Hey, Al Baker says, hey Tom, I was in Miami. Let me read that. Today I went to Julia and Henry's. Oh, cool. I love that place. Yeah, so Julia and Henry's is that new, like 4-floor indoor, it's like a big food court. That place is awesome. There's a good pasta place in there. Man, I can't wait to be back. I just want to walk around in 80-degree weather. Hey, Joey Coffee, what's up? Thanks for joining us. We were talking about Nvidia tonight. Nvidia reported earnings, blew it out of the water. Amazing report. Revenue's up 200% year over year at the company. Smashed earnings. Hey, Laura says, hey Tom, can't wait to be in New York City this Friday. Hey, we can't wait to have you. It's going to be awesome. Tomorrow's the last day. Well, pretty much today was the last day. I don't think there's going to really be too many people working tomorrow. Everybody's probably going to go home early, who knows. Now, I always think about, we talk a lot about the markets on the stream, right? We talk about, which companies are good, which companies are churning out earnings, but I always like to, really make the point that it's important to pay attention to this stuff, not only from an investment standpoint, but to identify very good career opportunities, right? And let me give you an example. Today, Nvidia reported, blow the doors off financial results. Now, the stock was unchanged after hours. It's down about $8, but the stock is up over 1,000% over the last, 10 years. Something ridiculous. Give or take. And it's important to identify these trends because they will point you to where the puck is going, right? I think that famous hockey player, Wayne Gretzky, would always say, you want to skate to where the puck is going. You want to skate to where the puck is going. You don't want to go work in a declining industry, right? You don't want to work in an industry that's in structural decline, because you're going to be putting out the same amount of work. You're going to be putting out maximum effort, but you want to make sure you get maximum results inward, right? And one of the ways you can do that is, over the last couple of years, you're like, okay, tech is going to be an ever-expanding market, and cloud computing and AI and the like. So not only are you making a basic salary, right, of probably $100,000 plus at these companies, but you're also going to be getting equity. You're also going to be, and maybe getting equity, but you're also going to be able to participate in the stock price, right? Employee stock purchase program. Just imagine somebody who's had a job at Microsoft for the last 20 years, for the last 10 years, okay? If they have added and contributed to the Microsoft employee stock purchase program, it's a very good possibility that their investment earnings in Microsoft have exceeded their earnings from their basic salary, right? And that is very important to think about. So in the likes of earnings season, we should always be paying attention not only to the company's financial results and the reports, but to the forward guidance. What is the total addressable market, right? What are the industries and sectors in the economy that are going to be growing over the next 10 years? So if you're a college student, or maybe you're just early on in your career, you should always be looking at that, right? What is the biggest total addressable market out there, and I want to go work in it. And you could double up. You'll get amazing salary and compensation, but you also make a lot of money on the equity side, right? If you're working at a startup and you get 1 or 2% equity and then you go public, or just participate in an employee stock purchase program. Hey, Melissa 2087, what's up? Good to see you. Eric Tate, welcome. We're about to come up on 42nd Street. And we'll be able to see the Steven Schwartzman building. Hey, Jonathan, his friends, have a good night. Time for bed. Jonathan, we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Thank you for joining us. And hopefully the weather's a lot better over there in South Florida than it is here. I think I may cross here. This is all scaffolding. All right. You can just see the spire of the Empire State Building. Hey, Ike Voorhees, what's up? Good to see you, sir. I did. Someone says, did you hear about the news about the Binance CEO today? Yes, I did. Hold on. Ugh. Yeah, and I think they're ordered to pay something crazy along the lines of $4 billion, I think, which is wild. Let's take a little detour in Grand Central. Hey, Peter L. says, hey there, Tom, from Vancouver. I've been in New York City twice, amazing city. Hopefully you'll come back. Thanks so much. You know, with everything that's unfolding in the crypto environment, it's sort of making me more bullish for the future of Bitcoin. And usually in market cycles, this is how it works out. When everything is very pessimistic and washed out, and it usually washes out a lot of the nefarious activity, right? You have major hedge funds blow up, major banking institutions blow up, Silvergate and the like, Three Arrows Capital. Those type of events are usually capitulation events that wash everybody out and will allow for the emergence of a new cycle. All right, this is Madison Avenue. And we are standing right on the corner near One Vanderbilt. Hey, Colton Manning, what's up? Good to see you. Brenton R says, hey Tom, glad you could stream tonight with the weather. Turned out not as bad. Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, it's just raining. I mean, the thing that I was going to be quite upset about is the wind. But it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Not bad at all. Hey, Andy from South Korea, what's up? Good to see you. All right, we're going to make a pit stop in Grand Central Station. Just because I got to get something out of my bag. Hey, Greg Miller. Good to see you, Greg. Oof, okay, there's the wind we were looking for. We got it. Hey, taxi cabs. Tom, have you been following the OpenAI stuff? I have. Hey. Omaro. All right, guys. Wow. All right, I'm going to leave you off with this gorgeous view. I'll be back in 30 seconds. Oh my God. right. Okay, we are good now. Hey, Midwest Private Equity guys, this is the Campbell Bar in Grand Central. It's amazing. Stopped in a few weeks ago. I was there yesterday, actually. Yeah, Midwest Private Equity guy. It's right through here. You go through this, well, not through this door. You got to go out and around and up. I was in there yesterday with the client. I'll show you the main location. But dude, if you're ever around, I'm down to go there. I was in there last night. Let's see if this will open. Now they closed this place down with the big C, but they just opened it. This place is expensive, but it's a really nice place and it's worth it, in my opinion, if you're bringing a client here. So 15 Vanderbilt Avenue, the Campbell apartment, right here. Amazing. Amazing, amazing right here. I don't think they'll let us film in there, but yeah, Midwest Private Equity guy. It's a great place. Now, that used to be an office, by the way. They converted the, thank you. They converted the office into a bar, the Campbell Bar. Hey, thank you. So, all right, let's take a lap around Grand Central Station, just so I could have an excuse to get out of the rain, and we'll be good. But for everybody who's just joining, obviously the main topic for tonight's live stream was Nvidia, and Nvidia was the last company out of that magnificent 7 to report earnings. They absolutely blew the doors off the place, beating on both the top and the bottom line. Now, Wall Street analysts were expecting about $3.37 worth of EPS. They came in with about $4.02 worth of EPS, so beating on the bottom line. There's 2 pigeons in here. You see them? We'll go check them out. They also beat on the top line. Revenue exploded higher, coming in at $18.12 billion. Wall Street analysts were expecting about $16 billion of revenue. So on a year-over-year basis, so if we do a comparative analysis of the same quarter last year, revenue was up 206%. It's pretty insane. Now, net income, so we'll talk about profitability, $9.24 billion. Not the year, okay, but in the quarter alone. $9.2 billion in net income. If we compare it to the same quarter last year, Nvidia made $680 million. So to go from $680 million to $9.24 billion, insane. Now there are multiple categories, and we'll go through each one of these. Data center brought in a whopping $14.5 billion worth of revenue, up 279% year over year. Now, half of the data center revenue, and we talked about this at the very beginning of live stream, is coming from the big cloud computing businesses, right? You could think about Amazon, AWS, right, and other cloud providers. But gaming was also a big hot spot too. It was a pretty big bright spot in the earnings report. Gaming revenue coming in at $2.86 billion. That's up 81% year over year. So massive, right? So again, the reason why it's important to really pay attention, and I'll sort of make an explanation, I've explained it like this before, but is anybody familiar with Dow theory? If you're not, Dow theory still does, but you really used to utilize the Dow transports. And in theory, the transports, or Dow transports, would usually lead the market. So when traders and investors would see the Dow transports turning up, breaking above its 50-day moving average and headed higher, you could use that as like a breadth indicator. Now, I say this, now this is just my opinion. I think now, in 2023, we can substitute semiconductor, so the SOX, the BlackRock iShares Semiconductor ETF, ticker symbol SOXX, for the Dow Transports. And I've said there will not be a new bull market, right? So if you're in an environment where you're coming from a bear, one of the things I look for is, are semiconductors participating? Is the semiconductor index trading above the 50-day? Is it trading above the 200-day? And what is the breadth like in the semiconductor sector? So Nvidia, AMD, all of them, right? If you have broad-based participation, well, that's a very, very good news for the broader economy and the market in general, because semiconductors and chips are pretty much going to be the lifeblood of the economy from here on out. You think about machine learning, artificial intelligence, electric vehicles, right, EVs. There's a crazy statistic that in the average EV, there's 2 times the amount of chips than a regular internal combustion vehicle. So if the semiconductor's not participating, and if the semiconductor sector is doing poorly, and if there's no demand, well, then the economy is not doing good. So after, Nvidia's earnings, even though a lot of people were sort of criticizing the forward-looking statements, they still raised forward guidance. They were just a little bit pessimistic on China with everything that's going on over there. So it's important to keep an eye on semiconductor participation. Now, I'm going to be writing about this, the potential substitution of semiconductor index for the Dow Transports, right? I'll sort of be laying out my thesis on Friday when I send everybody our free Behind the Street newsletter, our free financial research piece. So if you want to read that for free, all you have to do is type !news, NEWS, in the chat, and you can click the link to our Substack, or you can scan the QR code that's on your screen here, and you can punch in your email, and you will be signed up to receive it for free, as well as be able to look at all of our archived research. Now, another crazy thing is this, guys. This is Luke's Lobster, okay? The prices are wild. I went here not too long ago, and I got a lobster roll, and I got a crab roll, and it was very, very good, but it cost almost $70. What was that? I don't know what that was. But for a lobster roll and a crab roll, it was almost $70. Crazy, right? So $35 for a 6-ounce lobster roll, $25 for a crab roll. What do you guys think about these prices? And it really wasn't that much food either, you know? I don't know what that was. Let's sort of investigate. But yeah, 35, 25. With the tax, it's almost $70. It's insane, right? I know Elizabeth Gill says, Tom, too high, but I love lobster rolls. It's crazy. I usually go to Luke's Lobster around the holidays, right? If I'm in a good mood or something like that. I went a little bit too early this year. I usually get one. I usually go like around Christmas Eve, something like that, but anyway, we'll take a quick peek at Grand Central Madison. You were down here earlier this week. Hey, Vivian Francesca, what's up? I know, Austin City Limits is like, you can't afford to eat out anywhere regularly. Well, to be fair, right? To be fair, I don't go to Luke's Lobster every day. That'd be insane. But to eat out in the city, lunch, $20. I know Hawaii. It's just time to learn to make your own lobster roll. It's true. Wow, everybody's saying they're insane prices. Well, that's good because I thought the same thing. I'd love to see what their financials look like because who can afford to eat that every day, right? I mean, even once a week, that's a lot on lobster. Ooh, Katz's Deli is good too. But if you think about businesses like Chipotle, ticker symbol CMG, they have repeat customers that go there every day, right? Like a Luke's Lobster, I mean, I would be shocked. I mean, they probably do have very wealthy repeat customers, but I mean, a repeat customer for Luke's Lobster maybe once a month. I think that's fair, right? If you are a customer, a repeat customer of a place like Luke's Lobster, I'd say once a month is like a dedicated repeat customer. But there's no way someone's going to eat there realistically every day. I mean, that'd be just ridiculously expensive. Yeah, and it's not enough food. Fascinating. When I left Luke's Lobster, I was starving. I spent close to $70 and I was starving. Wow, using people says Luke's Lobster's revenue is about $50 million. I wonder what their EBITDA is. Chris G says they used to have a cheap little roll for $6. Raj is still headed to 34th Street. Yes, we are, but we're just procrastinating a little bit. We're doing about a 20-minute detour of procrastination, if I'm being honest. Oh, wow. Joey Coffee's like you believe they catch their own supply. Hey, JM, what's up? Good to see you, JM. All right, we are officially in the Long Island Railroad entrance. Well, not the entrance. Joey Coffee says the profits are probably great there. Well, what do you think the rent cost is? I mean, and Joey, you probably have more experience in this than me, right? You have your own coffee shop. What do you think the rents are realistically to rent that little kiosk in Grand Central Station? If you had to guess, how much do you think Luke's Lobster is paying for that kiosk, realistically? All right, here's the LIRR. Let's head back up though. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to picture this. So 50 million in revenue, right? Then you got to pay all the crazy rent. Then you got to pay the employees. I don't know. I don't know if it's crazy profitable. I hope it's profitable for their sake. But I was telling you guys a story about a very notable restaurant here in the city. It's called Al Coro. So it's a 2 Michelin star restaurant in the city. It's by Chelsea Piers. It's called Al Coro, and they're closing down because they're just not they're not profitable. The restaurant business is a tough business. Someone says, how far underground is this? I'm not too sure, to be honest. Romero's is $5,000 a month. If that was $5,000 a month, I would rent out the Luke's Lobster kiosk and I'd live in it if that was $5,000 a month there. Joe, you're saying it's $20,000 a month? I would have guessed more. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe they're paying around $20,000 to $25,000 a month for that space. Now, here's for some context. The restaurant El Coro, they were paying $40,000 a month. And they're obviously struggling because they're closing down, but. Yeah, Joey's like, the amount of people passing through the station every day is insane, so probably more than 20K. Now, I could probably look up how much these are going to go for. These spaces right here. It's obviously not as trafficked as the main Grand Central Station, but still, those are probably very expensive. I don't know. I'll find out for you guys, though. I think I could find out the exact amount. Using people, it's like the average is $150 a foot. That's, really? I don't know, maybe that's right. All right, let's head back up and out. But yeah, it's crazy times to be alive, guys. I mean, think about in the next 20 years, right? Like, if right now in 2023, if you get one little crab roll and one lobster roll, it's almost $70. In 20 years, that's going to be $100 or more. I mean, think about how cartoonishly ridiculous that's going to be, right? You're going to go up to the counter and say, yeah, I'll have one crab roll, one lobster roll. Yeah, that'll be $100. That's insane. That's incredibly insane. $100. Wow. Wild. You know, Shake Shack is still busy. Line out the door. Hey, Felix S., thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Oh my gosh, everything in Miami. Yes. Everything in Miami. Says, I was just looking at the Campbell Bar on IG. Next time in New York City, I have to go there. You have got to go. It's awesome. Great place. I was there yesterday for a little bit. Cool place. Extremely expensive, but very cool place. Elliott Wave review. This isn't a McDonald's meal now like 20 bucks. I wouldn't doubt it. Is there anything on the dollar menu anymore at McDonald's? I don't even know. All right, everybody, back to reality. I have my JW Marriott Essex House umbrella. Someone says dollar menu is extinct. Elizabeth Gill, I've never been. No. I'll have to check it out. What street is it on? Now, the funniest thing is, at the airports now, they have convenience stores that has no sales, has no sales associates. So when you go into the airport and you buy, let's say, for example, like a bottled water, they're going to charge you $5 or $7 for the bottled water, and then at the end of the self-checkout, they're going to ask you if you want to leave a tip. That's insane. Has anybody seen that? They have a couple of those at JFK now. In the American Airlines terminal by the Dunkin' Donuts. I'll take a picture of it and send it to you guys on Twitter the next time I'm there, but the kiosks with no employees ask you for a tip, and it automatically defaults to 20%, which is crazy. Someone says tip creeping is what it's called. Hey, Lotus, this is Tom. You should check out Lobster Fresh in Key West. Let me take a screenshot of that because I will absolutely do that. Yeah, but you know, when we've had this topic of conversation before with inflation, you know, I feel like the $10 trip is the new $20, right? Or maybe even the new $50. Like, I'm sure all of us, we've been in that spot before where you're coming home from work and you're like, you know what, I got to go to the store and get a few things, right? And before that few things, you know, you could just lay down a $10 bill and you get your few things, right? A gallon of milk, eggs, and maybe like a cleaning product for your house. And it would be like $10, like nine something, right? Now, I mean, you got to walk in there with a 50, you know, assuming you're paying cash, but it seems like the new quick $10 run to get something for the house is like 25 now. Yeah, CW is like, yeah, Joey Coffee says $40 every time at CVS. Dude, in Miami, it's insane. It's crazy. And I'm like, wait, what did I just buy at CVS that I walked out of here paying $30 at CVS? It's crazy. I know, D's like, 'cause you buy $30 steaks. Yeah, that's true. But look, I can't eat seeds, you know? I burn a lot of calories, and I have to eat a lot of red meat. Because here's the funny thing is this: the way inflation works, particularly with CPI, is the following. And if you type !CPI in the chat, it'll drop the link to the Bureau of Labor Statistics website, where you can look at each individual category of inflation by line item. Now, when inflation shows it's gone down from 9.1% in March of 2022 down to 3.3% today, that doesn't necessarily mean inflation went down. That's actually a little bit of a mischaracterization. What it means is that prices went up in a slower fashion, right? It's not like prices are going down. So from the 10% jump, there was an additional 3% on top of the 10%. You know what I mean? It's not like, you know, generally speaking, things went down in price for most things, right? Yeah, if you're talking about energy, like, you know, gasoline, yes, then that's true. But I'm talking about like the big things, right? And the big things that everybody deals with is rent, insurance costs, you know, medical care, things like that. Taxes, right? Property taxes. It's not like your taxes went down 2%. So things are just going up less fast, I would say. Hey, Foxing Borders. This is Tom. I like steak cooked in butter in a cast iron pan. I buy them at Walmart. Now, when I'm in Miami, I have this little $10 Walmart barbecue grill. I think food tastes better on those little teeny, you know, 4th of July $10 Walmart charcoal barbecue grills. And I grill every night. Every single night, I'm out grilling. And you know, if you buy a steak at a Whole Foods, it's going to be like a $20 steak. But if you do buy New York strip steaks at Walmart, you can probably get like 2 for $25. 2 New York strip steaks for $25, and they actually aren't that bad. They're actually pretty good. I feel as if food tastes better cooked with charcoal. Oh, honest. It's Tom, my nail salon. It gives a suggested tip of over 15%. Well, yeah, I mean, that's different, right? Because that's because people are doing manual labor and they're providing a service. But if I'm buying a $10 bottle of water at an airport, right, $7 bottle of water at an airport, I think to ask for a tip is a little crazy. Now, it's a good sales technique, right? Because you always ask for more. If you don't ask, you're not going to get. So if they didn't ask for the tip, they would never get it. So they probably make additional revenue off of people tipping the robot. Sham says lowering interest rates will have an adverse U.S. Treasury bond yields. Not good. Well, it would probably cause the uninversion of the yield curve, which is actually what it's doing right now. And we wrote about this in last week's newsletter. It's very important to pay attention to the transition of the yield curve, right? Everybody just likes to talk about, oh my God, the yield curve is inverted. Okay, but what does that mean, right? What does that actually mean, right? So we need to know 3 things. It's important to understand where the yield curve is coming from, where it is right now, and where it's going in its transition cycle. So is it going from steep to flat to inverted? Is it going from inverted to flat to steep? Where are we in that cycle? And I think we're going to start to see the curve steep out a little bit. I think you're going to see potentially the long end of the curve, right? Assuming that the Federal Reserve doesn't, change and get very aggressive in doing a 180 on monetary policy. You can continue to possibly see the longer end of the curve go up in terms of the yield. And some people, many economists, they say that, when you have a re-steepening of the yield curve, that's when the recession starts, and that's sort of when you have the washout. Because if you think about products, I would say, or debt products that are priced on the long end of the curve, right, like 30 years and things like that, it's very consumer sensitive. So from the 10-year treasury out, a lot of consumer debt is priced off of that, right? Guys, look at this. Beautiful Empire State Building here. It almost doesn't even look real lit up in green like that. Hey, someone says, Tom, what's a good Italian restaurant you recommend in Midtown? I would say Becco, B-E-C-C-O, or if you want to travel a little bit further downtown, I would go to Al Coro. Check it out, A-L-C-O-R-O. It's about to close down. It's a two-star Michelin restaurant, 2 Michelin star restaurant, and I think you should check it out before they close it down. It's going to go out of business. So I'd say Al Coro and Becco. But if you send me an email, walkswallstreet@gmail.com, I will hook you up with some more suggestions. Also, there's a restaurant called Mel's, M-E-L-S. My friend owns the restaurant. If you want to go there, let me know, and I'll make sure they take care of you. I'll make sure you're going to be able to try every single item on the menu. That's a good place. It's a fun place to eat too. Mel's, very good. Joey Coffee says, check out Little Owl. Let me screenshot that. I'll check it out. I think my phone's going to die soon. Got to plug it in. So the police officers have closed down 34th Street because of the parade. They're actually doing they're doing the rehearsals for the parade all the way down there. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams every day starting at 8:30. But I got to put you guys down in the bushes here for a moment. I almost dropped you guys. Sorry about that. All right, let's go check out the rehearsal. Should still be going on. Yeah, Adrian says the sound is better now. I had the microphone on because of the noise cancellation. Let me adjust it. Someone says, do you mainly stick to Midtown? No, we go all over, but recently, as the weather gets progressively worse and miserable, and plus I've been putting in crazy hours at the office. It's easier for me just to turn on the live stream right outside of my office, which is 57th Street. So in the summer though, we'll venture a little bit farther out, but hey, Western Mass Dave, what's up? Good to see you, Dave. Oh, Destructionist, this is Tom. I saw there was a new skating rink under the Brooklyn Bridge. Oh, wow, I didn't know that. We'll have to check that out. Now, I'll be in Brooklyn. I'll actually be in Brooklyn the day after Thanksgiving. We have an potential international buyer flying in from Finland to look at the penthouse we have listed at the Conover, 199 Conover Street, penthouse 3B. So maybe we'll get a deal done the day after Thanksgiving, who knows? All right, everybody, this is Macy's, Herald Square. Win O'Donnell, thank you so much for the well wishes. So you could see everything being set up for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. What do you guys think? Oh, Elliot Wave Reviews says, Tom, don't you think the rain is way worse than snow? 1,000 times worse. 1,000 times worse. Because at least the snow, you can walk around in it and it's rather enjoyable. But the rain, I mean, the rain is not fun to walk around in. But this looks awesome. I actually like this shot with the NYPD cruiser in it. What do you guys think? Should we walk directly down 34th Street? They need to give the police officers some umbrellas. That guy's getting soaked out there. So this is where all of the, the video, audio equipment is going to be set up as they're filming the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. So if you're watching it on the news, right, this is what you're going to see, right? The cameras are going to flip back and forth between Central Park South to 34th Street, Herald Square. Hey, Stephanie, what's up? Yeah, let's check out the windows. We might as well do a quick walk around here. Wow, it is. Stephanie, you're right. This looks fantastic. Hey, Dusty Cole. right, here's the first one. Yeah, Carl's is looking good for the parade. I'm excited, particularly because all of this rain is supposed to move out of here. Well, knock on wood. It's supposed to move out of here. Hey, Shelby GT. This is Tom. I just found your channel and it's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. And hopefully you're enjoying the windows here at Macy's. I think I like this one the best. Joey said, have you skated in stream recently? Not recently, to be honest. I think I pointed this out the other time, that this looks like an advent calendar. I think I'm gonna buy an advent calendar this year. DJ says, do you like ice skating? I think I'd be okay at it. I'm not a big fan of it, but I was a big skateboarder back in my day. I haven't skateboarded in a while, but I was pretty good. Not like competitive or anything, but you know, around Washington Square Park. Man, I must have done hundreds and hundreds of miles, maybe even thousands of miles on the skateboard in New York City in my day. I actually don't think that's an exaggeration. I've probably done thousands of miles. You know, because some days I could do 35, 40 miles on a skateboard. Easy. Oh, here's the turkey. Andrew O'Donovan says, anybody remember the name of the Jesse Livermore book? I do. It is called Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. Very good book. I would highly, highly recommend it. Adrian says advent calendars are big this year. I want to bring them back. I think we should all bring the advent calendar back. Maybe they never fell off, but I always used to have one as a kid. They're the calendar with the chocolate inside, like a little chocolate. On each day, you would open it up, and it would have a teeny piece of chocolate inside. So this is pretty much what you're going to see on the TV, right? At the big star outside of Macy's, this is where the sort of the spirit of America people do the performance. Maybe we'll have to bring it back next year, Dave, with the skateboard. I mean, the good thing about it, well, not the good thing, it's just that nobody was in the city, so there was really not a lot of cars, so there was really no traffic, so we could cruise around. So yeah, I mean, if you watch the parade live on TV, right on the main channels, this is sort of what you're going to see. You're going to see a bird's eye view of this right here. So this is sort of a behind the scenes look of what is actually going to be taking place on Thanksgiving Day. Dusty Cole, I never skateboard when it rains because I usually ride with very hard skate park wheels. So you can, I don't know if we have any skateboarders in here, but you can adjust your wheels based upon like the environment. So if you're going to the park to do like tricks and things like that or competing, you want to get a smaller, harder wheel. But if you're cruising on the boardwalk, you're gonna have these really big, chunky, like soft. They almost, you can almost like squeeze them a little bit. And if you have skate park wheels, it's very dangerous to ride during the rain. It's like ice skating. It's crazy dangerous. So. But everybody. I think this is a good place to cut you all loose. I want to thank everybody for coming out and enjoying the live stream tonight. If you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We usually do these live streams about pretty much every day, starting at 8:30. If you want to come back and enjoy it tomorrow, please feel free to subscribe and we will see you all tomorrow. Once again, if you want to sign up for our free investing newsletter that we send out every other Thursday after the market closes, just go ahead and click this, scan the QR code on your screen or type !news, N-E-W-S, in the chat, and the Nightbot will drop the link to our Substack where you can access all of our equity research for free. So I will see you guys all tomorrow. So Gen Zen, take it easy, appreciate it. Destructionist, Mohammed, D, everything in Miami. We'll see you in New York City at the Campbell Apartments. Abdullah, Troy, Hang with Mark Mom, Sharon, the Papa Smurf OG, the FDNY, good to see you. And there's always a bull market somewhere, you just need to know where to look. Guys, take care. God bless you all and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.